The term woman is based on biological sex.
Trans women are not classed as women. Only biologically born women are.
The Supreme Court in the UK have ruled that trans women are not women.
Oh, God. The definition of a woman is linked to biological sex, and I've got some things to say about that.
It's literally a genocide.
This is a huge win for biological women.
I don't remember this person. Orla Scory Auckland. The one that's like hide ducks, and then he's like 60 and wears like a bra and always has his gut hanging out. They did a video about Camilla Harris.
Hi ducks, how are you? It's been a while.
This person. Do you remember this person? Hanging out. And then I read this person's article in something called In Common magazine. It was the most poorly written trash I've ever seen in my life. They're on YouTube called Just Mabes. Got the two of them together. I don't know if they formed some kind of weird polycule yet. I'm sure that's just around the corner. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I don't want to know, quite frankly. But yeah, we've got Supreme Court ruling. So the thumbnail said, fuck the ruling. But yeah, they're going to complain about the Supreme Court ruling because it turns out they're both men. And you know what? So am I. That's fine. Doesn't matter. We're okay. Just move this. We need to make sure we can see these beautiful women. And hey, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you check the links in my description, etc., etc. Here's the thing about confirmation bias. When you're very sure about a specific thing, such as being male and yet a woman, somehow, when you see other information that goes against that, you immediately disregard it. And you might see a ruling like this when you're this entrenched in these kind of belief systems. And reflexively like that, oh, well, this is wrong, this is fucked up, there's an attack on trans people. That's kind of what we've been seeing an awful lot of, unfortunately.
So today, as I think we kind of suspected happening, the Supreme Court in the UK have ruled that trans women are not women.
I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't go this way, but I was being naive and
Wait, this person isn't a woman, but they sound so feminine.
stupid.
Yeah, I too was hoping it wouldn't go this way, but you know, they don't call us Turf Island for nothing, sadly. Yeah, so it really is a big disappointment there. I've seen a lot of my friends online worried about this particular...
Yeah, this is what happens when you're way too obsessed with taking on a specific label that doesn't apply to you. Is being yourself not enough?
We don't fully know exactly what it is going to affect and how so at this stage.
It depends on what legal proceedings are going to be taken by...
You can't see the t-shirt, hang on. The t-shirt is like peak irony. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It says 10 years of trans joy. It's not a very joyful day though, is it? It's not a very joyful day today. 10 years of trans joy.
It depends on what legal proceedings are going to be taken by gender critical...
Why there was in age gap relationships? I don't know that these two are in a relationship, to be completely clear.
Legal proceedings are going to be taken by gender critical movements to take away our rights.
Well, the gender critical movement can't take your rights away. They might not even be trying to. I mean, they're pushing for women's rights, but we can't frame it around women. We have to frame it around men that think they're women, because that's feminism. That's against the patriarchy. You have to understand. It's not feminism unless we're most of all concerning ourselves with the feelings of men that think they're women and want to take women's places and fill diversity quotas that actual women could be filling, you know, stuff like that.
And predominantly trans women's rights.
Yeah.
Vaseline and tissues next to the plant. Listen, again, I'm not assuming anything. I'm a very nice person. Just because I make fun of people like this. Because people like this are partly responsible for all the backswing that's been happening.
It depends how many court cases they launch, where they go for first as an attack strategy, and how we can counter it, because in a lot of cases we're going to be in courtrooms fighting legal matters.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it doesn't...
Are you? Believe that when I see it. Listen, vlog it. Vlog all of your court adventures so I can continue to watch and not make fun of you at all. I'm very nice, I don't do that.
mean a great deal right now. You need to
Assuming that women's rights take away trans rights is absurd. Well, the thing is, it's not entirely wrong, but the problem is, like, trans rights clash with women's rights in certain areas because of what we've been talking about, because of the fact that male criminality and female criminality are different. And as much as people like this probably want to cope and act like men are in one category and trans women, trans men, and women in the other category, truthfully, the criminality, things like sexual assault, it goes one way. Males to females. That includes trans women in the males, unfortunately. So this kind of thing is necessary. And if you disagree, then at a certain point, could I not maybe say that you're against, like, women's safety? Could I not maybe say that you're against women's rights? I probably could. Listen, we essentialize so hard on the other side and assume that TERFs want to take away our rights and that it is not a positive thing for women as opposed to a negative thing for trans people. So maybe I should essentialize people more, I don't know. Maybe these people genuinely do think that men must be able to be anywhere that women can be. And, like, you gotta wonder why someone is about that, you know what I mean? You gotta wonder why you'd be so insistent that male people have to be able to go anywhere that women can, as long as they say that they're a woman. That's a bit dodgy, you know what I mean? I'm just happy crimes are gonna be reported correctly now. Yeah, like certain women's crimes, like, fucking skyrocketed. In recent times, because males are doing them and saying they're women. It's nuts. I can sympathize with women on this shit. I can imagine it's probably fucking annoying.
remember, this all started.
Trans rights, sorry, I'm pausing a lot. Trans rights remove women's rights, but women's rights don't take away trans rights. Well, I mean, the thing is, there are going to be clashes of different kinds of rights, but women's rights would always take precedence over trans rights. Because female and male are observable categories of people. Sex is observable. In 99.95% of cases, I believe, your sex is correctly assigned at birth. Or observed at birth, not assigned, excuse me. And so that's an observable thing. It's an immutable characteristic, like race or something like that. So those kind of people, you need to be able to guarantee their rights. Someone who just says they're a thing, and that's the be-all and end-all of it, and they now need the same rights. That should absolutely never take precedence over the rights of people who are part of a group that has an immutable characteristic.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it doesn't mean a great deal right now. You need to remember, this all started back in, I think it's 2022, when the Scottish government wanted to increase their quotas for women in public offices, and it then sprouted an argument.
I mean, hey, at least they've vaguely done their research, you know. Better than what some people are saying.
About whether trans women, specifically with gender recognition certificates, would be included in those quotas.
Yeah, because I think that's ridiculous. What you're saying, therefore, is that if you've got a gender recognition certificate, you can take the place of a woman as a male. Like, that's nuts to me. That's very unfeminist.
Quotas, and it's been appealed and argued all the way up to the Supreme Court by some gender critical groups, and now it was 5 judges who were mainly focusing, I believe, on discrimination on pregnancy to imply that sex must mean biological sex, ergo...
Yeah, because the thing is, like, sex is, like, applied... The word woman is applied extremely unevenly, because it refers to someone who can get pregnant. It refers to... Who's this lesbian couple watching? Well, this is Orla Scory Auckland with Mabel. Is it Mabel? I don't know. I'm supposed to remember that these are pretending to be women. I just keep coming up with, like, random men's names in my head because I can never remember all these people.
So from that a woman must be a biological woman, ergo cisgender rather than trans. So that's how this has all came to light. But at this...
Yeah, a biological woman. Like, the clue's in there. It's because sex. Just use Roger. I mean, I can't call literally everyone Roger. Although this one might actually be called Roger, I don't know. Kind of an old man's name, you know.
Moments in time, it doesn't...
What they should really be concentrating for is fair medical practices for trans people. Hey, maybe. Listen, some of the stuff, like, the waiting times on the NHS are, like, insane. But these people would rather focus on what it means to be a woman when it's like, well, you're not one. So, end of discussion. Why don't you think about something actually worth thinking about? Instead of trying to redefine something to fit you into. It's like the politics of self-interest. And, like, people think it's bizarre that I am trans, and there are certain things about trans rights that I'm not for. It's a bit like how a rich person can still end up being like left-leaning, like end up being economically left, end up being a socialist or something even. It's because not everyone's politics is like based on self-interest.
Doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, we're not allowed to use female restrooms if you're a trans woman or if you're a trans man, that you can use male restrooms. That's really down to precedents needing to take place there. So organisations deciding or choosing to exclude transport they weren't able to get away with previously.
What the fuck was that edit?
Take place there. So that's really down.
Listen, like I said, we read this person's like article writing skills. I think it was on Friday. It's in my recent video that got like over 6k views, which thank you all so much for, by the way. I really appreciate it. They talk like this too. It's insane. At least in like a written form, you should be able to like proofread it and stuff, I guess. But they didn't bother. But what is this editing? It's like, what point are we trying to make? I'm not sure, because we like faded it out into something completely different.
Female restrooms if you're a trans woman or if you're a trans man, that you can use male restrooms. That's really down to...
Yeah, you can still use a male west room, don't worry.
Really down to precedents needing to take place there.
Male east rooms, on the other hand, probably not. Sorry, that was absolutely fucking appalling. I'm so sorry.
So organisations deciding or choosing to exclude transport they weren't able to get away with previously. And then again, as you just said, all of taking it to courtrooms there to then be argued. The government right now thinks that this argument there, this ruling has caused clarity and confidence. But I think they're going to quickly find out when all of these messy court proceedings happen there, when trans women, because it's going to focus on trans women mainly, are being excluded from toilets all of a sudden, changing facilities and sports.
Well, that's got nothing to do with clarity. No, it is clear that males shouldn't be in certain spaces. But it's going to be down to it's going to be down to the people that own those spaces anyway.
Clubs and so many other things, and all of these court cases happen, and we don't know which way is up or anything like that until that it's not going to be so messy. So it's really up to the government to really...
Yeah, all of this suggestion that it's actually going to be really complicated and stuff. It's only trans people saying stuff like this. And literally, you're flat out admitting that the reason it's going to become complicated is because of the kind of legal action that trans people might take. Basically meaning it's only potentially going to become complicated because trans people are literally trying to make it complicated, when actually it isn't. Like, sex exists. You know what sex you are, you're just pretending not to.
Address what this does mean, what it means in terms of appointing, getting a gender recognition certificate, which is something I've been trying to research today, really. And if you want to update your birth certificate, maybe, and make sure, you know, you can get married as, you know, a woman now as a Mrs. rather than a Mr. or whatever, that's still something...
Why does this even matter? Like, if I marry my partner, I'll be a husband. I'll be male, legally male. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll be with someone that I love. I'll be able to marry someone that I love. That's what I care about. We care way too much about labels. What does it actually matter to these people, whether they're referred to as men or women? If they want to dress a certain way, they want to present a certain way, that's fine. Like, why does the label mean so much more than like your right to be what you want to be? And like look how you want to look and stuff like that. It's bizarre.
That could be worth doing, but this government, they said they were supposed to make the legal gender changing process simpler, and it's almost like they've now just ruled that it can't be changed at all, and if you have a gender recognition certificate, then it's just a waste of £6.
So the Labour government did run on a manifesto.
Well, didn't they say it would still give some protections? Didn't they say it'll still give some rights? I don't fucking know. They say these things and don't really back them up with anything, so it's like, well, I don't know, man. The kid is blinking in Morse code. I haven't been... Listen, I do tend to speed these videos up. So sometimes people look like they're blinking more often than is normal, but it's not always because they're actually doing so. Just to be clear. Listen, I make fun of these people. I'm not actually trying to like straight up lie about people, you know? I saw a video saying we should make a definition for biological sex next because we'll be surprised how many people don't fit it. Be for real, almost everyone has a POV, simple. Well, yeah. You can determine almost everyone's sex. By the time you're getting to people that maybe it's a bit more complicated, we really are getting to tiny amounts of people.
Have a gender recognition certificate, that's just a waste of £6.
So the Labour government did run on a manifesto push to make the GRC easier to get to grips with and easier to change your gender markers. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that anymore. And
change your gender mark, that's like lying on your documents.
As Mabel says, they have clarity and confidence in the Supreme Court ruling, and so the chances of them changing the legislation or amending it so that it clarifies the position of trans women, predominantly trans women, because that's who are being attacked, it doesn't look like they're going to do that. They have the time to do it, but it doesn't look like
Mr. and Mrs. Gary and Charlie Chu. Yeah, exactly.
they're going to do it. Right. So we're kind of stuck in a situation where some charities and some organisations and pressure groups around the trans community are going to have to spend a lot of money taking this all through the...
Yeah, it's a waste. It's a waste. Tell them not to bother. I don't have any fucking pull in these fucking communities. Because I fucking hate these people and they hate me too. So why don't you do this? Tell them to stop wasting the time and money. Focus on things that actually fucking matter. Not whether you're called a man or a woman by this or that person. What about the wait times? We're not focused on that shit. We're not focused on shit that actually matters. Instead of stroking your own egos. Instead of obsessing over the fact that other people have to perceive you as a woman. When, I'm sorry, every instinct of mine is like saying he, male, male, male. I'm so sorry. That's just how it is. It's what happens when people don't bother trying to fucking pass anymore. Like, why are you wasting your time on this shit? Why are you saying these charities are going to have to waste all this money on something so meaningless when there are very good reasons as to why they would want to guarantee certain women's spaces? When we know that male and female criminality diverges in certain ways, that means that women are more likely to be victims and that has to be treated as a sex thing. You can't separate trans women from male in this instance. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. How do you know if your house is a he or a she? I'll have to think about that. I have no idea. I've been misgendering my house for a long time, potentially. Shit. Hi, Salma, Amanda. Hope you're good.
The courts, and it is going to be extremely messy.
Yeah, it's a waste of fucking time. So why not tell them not to fucking bother for? Why not tell them not to bother with this shit? Why not tell them to focus on something that actually matters? Redefining sex was a stupid idea the entire time. Why not focus on shit that matters? If you're that invested in people getting healthcare, then focus on that shit. That's something that you might actually be able to get some people some help with. Because it does seem like it does help some people. Maybe it's helped these people. I don't fucking know. I don't know what kind of people these are. Because a lot of these people, they wouldn't give me the time of day anyway. And I happen to know that, well, with one of them at least. Like, in practice, unfortunately. But why you you all should be telling them not to bother with this shit. I'm sorry, man. It's over. Hi, Kitsch Kiss. Hope you're good. Like, I can't wait to watch these people react to, like, these court cases fucking failing, one after another. I wonder also, what was that person's name? Rachel Saunders or something. I wonder if this GoFundMe is still fucking happening. Because, like, this has got to have been, like, absolutely kneecapped by this ruling. God, I keep searching the wrong thing. It's GoFundMe that I want. Yeah, it's still going. £3,815 raised. Like, often more money than I've ever had to my name, like ever. For this. Why are people wasting their money on this shit? What's the point? Why not focus on things that actually matter? Like, trying to get males into female sports. Why? What's the point in this? Why are people giving their money to this shit? It's like we have to, like, focus on the most luxury belief bullshit. We have to focus on the most useless things. And, like, this presumably is going to get completely fucking fucked by this new ruling. So, like, why are you still doing this? Refund the people their money. Admit that it's not going to fucking work. Just do it. Why do this?
And you're going to be in a position where in one situation in a leisure centre or a shopping precinct, you can use the toilets that you sign with your gender. In other places, you won't be able to. And you could, in theory...
Well, it depends how you look. It depends how you're coming across. It depends how you act. If you go around talking like that, then you're probably going to make some women uncomfortable if you start talking in the women's toilets. I don't know, man. You had some privileges that you might not have anymore.
Be nicked for it.
Yeah, no, and that's the big worry there, but especially with...
Be nicked? What?
You can use the toilets that you sign with your gender. In other places, you won't be able to. And you could, in theory, be nicked for it.
You're not getting nicked for using the wrong bathroom and being told to leave. You might get nicked if you make a scene over it and do some other stuff. I don't even think, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this, I don't even think trespassing in the UK, like, yeah, generally it's a civil matter, not a criminal offence. But it's a criminal offence in certain cases. You probably will not be fucking nicked for using the women's toilet. Like, what are you talking about? Do you actually know anything about any of this shit? If not, why are you talking about it?
Yeah, no, and that's the big worry there, but especially with trans.
And of course, this dipshit agrees. You could, in theory, be nicked for using the women's toilet. Yeah, if you do a bunch of other stuff that adds on some actual charges worth nicking someone for. In which case, you're not getting nicked for using a toilet. You just get to potentially essentialize it that way. Because I know how you fucking people operate.
Trans people, because we don't know whether we're supposed to just imply now that we're not allowed to live, essentially, that we're not allowed to go out in public.
What? Who is saying that? Mate, the entire world, the outside, the great outdoors, this street or that street, are not single-sex spaces. What are you fucking on about?
Be nicked for it.
Yeah, no, and that's the big worry there, but especially with trans people, because we don't.
These two retards are just literally like riling each other up. I say something stupid, and then you compound on it. You're like freaking out over nothing. You're not getting nicked for using the toilet. You're not being told you can't live, you can't exist anywhere. That's dumb. That's like victim shit.
Don't know whether we're supposed to.
Oh, so if you get nicked, it means you got arrested.
Just imply now that we're not allowed to live, essentially, that we're not allowed to.
That's fucking stupid. If that's the case, how come you've been able to post this fucking video and no one's come around to arrest the two of you? How come I'm just fine being a trans person here? How come I'm still able to live my life? I've never had a fucking gender recognition certificate. I've never been legally female. I used to use like women's spaces and stuff. You know why it worked? Because I made an effort and because I didn't fuck around. Like if I used a female toilet back in the day, I go in, I do my stuff, I get out. You don't like fuck around. You don't make a scene. You don't give people reasons to scrutinize you. I've never been legally female and I've been able to get on just fine. You're overreacting. You're going crazy over nothing.
To go out in public and have to use public facilities like toilets if we think we are going to get arrested, and it really is such a messy situation. So for all of my trans siblings out there listening, we really are sorry as Trans Pride Southampton that this has happened, but we
There you go, Trans Pride Southampton. Fucking losers. It's been fun making fun of you. It's what you deserve, honestly.
are still here for you. There is some action that we can all take collectively, not just the trans community, but the wider queer community, our allies, our friends and family members, that we can all do for support now to help each other.
I'll tell you an ally you could do with getting to grips with. Shampoo, yeah? Wash your hair. Looks like shit.
So the trade unions are going to be a major battleground right now to fight for this. We need to look at
trade unions. Oh my god, is anyone in a union? Am I on Spotify? Yeah. If you look in the description, I have a bunch of links. There's a Spotify link to some of my stuff. Like the trade, no one gives a fuck about trade union. I'm sorry, I've never met a person in a trade union.
Our education unions to support trans students. We need to, if you're a shop worker, you need to make sure you're in line with your shop.
These like lefty types, they're always so out of touch. No one gives a shit about any of this shit.
There, so USDOR and other such unions there to make sure that you're allowing trans people into toilet facilities there. We need to
make sure you're allowing, so make sure that women don't get any single-sex spaces. So you're like in direct opposition. You are in fact trying to block like women's rights in this instance. So you are actually anti-women's rights. I'm comfortable saying that about you. I don't like lying about people. I don't like exaggerating about people. I don't like essentializing people. But you actually are saying, like, women shouldn't have these rights that they're being afforded. And we're pushing to make sure that that doesn't happen. I hope you understand this. And you're both male, you're both men. I can see, I can hear, I'm not stupid.
If you're a shop worker, you need to make sure you're in line with your shop unions there, so USDOR and other...
Shop union. How many different unions are we going to talk about? No one gives a fuck about unions anymore.
Such unions there to make sure that you're
All boys are messy, yeah, Jesus. We're not transphobic, but they are misogynistic. I agree. This is actually verging on misogynist now.
You're allowing trans people into toilet facilities there. We need to make sure that, again, doctor and nurses unions, that they're making sure that trans people aren't being taken to, if you're a trans woman, to a men's.
Yeah, this person doesn't seem to know that no one apart from far leftists in this country give a fuck about unions. It's just, I don't know, man. The only ones that anyone cares about in America are things like police unions, and these people wouldn't be for that kind of shit. Like, they all got smashed in the fucking 80s by Thatcher. They haven't come back. I've never met anyone in a union. These people seem to think that they're a lot more powerful than what they are. They're not. They don't do shit. My union stopped me from getting fired when I was disciplined for speaking up about beauty blockers. They half-assed it. I still got suspended without pay. My union is completely captured. Fair enough. Whereabouts are you? Are you in the US?
Ward, or a trans man to a women's ward. These are all things that we need to fight for. By all means, do speak to your local MPs as well there. You might have more luck if they're a Labour MP because they're the current government, but it's hard to say really, but it's worth talking to them as well there. There may well be some publications about both national and regional protests that could be starting soon about this.
Protests are a waste of time. Protests at this point, especially these pro-trans protests, is the literal definition of insanity. What I saw when I was watching the ones, and we'll have a bit of another one, it's the same people saying the same shit. We saw fucking Sarah kidnapper, torturer, Baker running around with an Antifa flag. Apparently very welcome, because of course people like that are very welcome at trans protests. They're saying the same shit they've been saying for years. It stopped working. It's not working anymore. You're still doing it. You're still pushing the same talking points. As if the rest of the world hasn't moved on. Oh, you're in Canada. Okay, that makes sense. Like, it's a complete waste of time. Why not just focus on stuff you might actually be able to do something about? This is an entire man speaking. What the fuck? Well, I don't know. I don't know what these people want people to think, quite honestly.
And I think we really just need to keep an eye out on the way things go and the way the companies and organisations implicate this, to see if maybe we are going to be organising some protests against certain organisations, shopping centres or such, and sit-ins, depending on how this all goes.
How to make everyone hate you. Good job. Thank you. I'm so glad you people are still so committed to making sure trans people are as hated as possible. Because that's what you activist types do.
Now, it really is worrying and a stressful time for all of us. But as Trans Pride Southampton, we are going to be there for you, and we're going to fight for you so we can get...
No, what you're doing is fighting to make us as hated as possible. If you actually cared about trans people, you'd shut the fuck up forever and cancel your shitty pride.
Through all of this together.
So the time starts now. So it starts now. We've got to get active now. It could be a situation where it's a rolling number of protests, all melding into one. If you can get active and you want to get your head above the parapet, please come and join us and speak out if you can. And we need all the allies and voices we can get. As I've said in a previous video, the queer community makes up 10% of the population in Southampton. Imagine
queer community.
The power we could have if we all took to the street.
You know, being queer literally just consists of calling yourself queer. You know that, right?
In one mass protest in Southampton.
The big unions in the UK are all public sector unions now. Yeah. Like, there's not many of them hold much sway anymore. The BMA, fair enough, yeah. Like, you'll get the odd one that still matters, but I don't know. I've never met anyone in a union.
Or if a shopping centre or a leisure centre did ban transforming from the public toilets, we did a sit-in.
You did a sit-in in a women's toilets. You people are psyops. You people actually want trans people to be as hated as possible. The young guy with long hair. Oh, these are both trans women. These are both beautiful women. How dare you? Just because they look like men and sound like men and are men. The new Just Stop Oil. Yeah, I agree. Hi, John Dillon. I hope you're good.
These are things that we're going to be seeing happening if by all means you're a trans person local to Southampton and all of a sudden a shopping centre or a restaurant does exclude you. They do try and stop you from using. So if you're a woman, the women's facilities, vice versa, or cause any issues being a non-binary person, please do.
Non-binary? Who fucking cares about non-binary people? Like, Why the fuck would you be a non-binary man using a women's toilet? And oh my god. Non-binary is meaningless. It's exactly the same as queer. It's just calling yourself a thing. Why do they never do voice training? To be completely fair, voice training is difficult. I haven't really done much voice training myself. I just have a gay sounding voice, even though I'm a straight boy. Sitting in a toilet. Yeah. It's gross. This is literally, these people want to be hated, I think. I think they want to be hated, so they have victim points. The problem is, what they're doing is dragging all other trans people down with them. Because the more they sit in fucking women's toilets, the more other people like myself would also get like scrutinized. The more other trans people who probably want nothing to do with any of this dumb shit will also get scrutinized.
Do let us know and the wider Southampton community groups know about these issues so we can be there for each other and so we can demonstrate effectively. Like you said there could well be multiple protests both regionally and nationally that are going to be carrying out soon for trans people to
waste of time.
Defend ourselves about this there.
And that's what Trans Pride is for. It's a political event. It is a protest. It is a...
Yep, it's about thinking the exact same as all of these people. It's about having the same ideals, being basically carbon copies of these people. That's what Pride is all about. I understand. That's why I don't fucking want to be part of it anymore.
Galvanisation of solidarity of the trans community in one mass movement.
Mate, it's not solidarity of the trans community. It's solidarity of a specific kind of trans person that does not speak for all trans people, but insists on trying to do so anyway. That's what you people are about. The amount of trans people that don't agree with fucking anything that you people have to say, yet you insist on speaking for all of us anyway, and making sure your events are as ideologically captured as possible, instead of having events for your people, whether or not they agree with you on literally everything.
You're anti-trans.
Oh, thank you, Fire Maiden, for following. Hope you're good. Can't fix a broken voice box that puberty has done. Yeah, that is true. I mean, to be fair, you get some trans people that do manage to like voice train and actually sound quite convincing, but it's very difficult. And most people just don't bother. Because I mean, it's about identity now anyway. It's not about the illusion, which it is an illusion. That's all they're doing. Nando's and Westgate, Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, it used to be about the illusion because we used to be at least somewhat like cognizant of the fact that we're not actually women and we just want to be regarded a certain way. So you know, it's imitation. You imitate certain things about what are typical about women. But nowadays it's like, well, I identify as a woman, therefore I am a woman. This deep male voice that I have is actually a woman's voice. It's stupid and it's only served to make things worse. That's why I think the toilets have come back as a fucking issue. Because instead of like stealth trans women just trying to pee and then leave as soon as they can and not cause a stir or anything, now you've got full-on fucking blokes like these wanting to use the toilet. And for that to be okay because they identify as women. Well, is woman even something to identify as? What does it even mean to identify as a woman?
Movement. If we can do that constantly, if we can get the 42,000 that turned up in Brighton last year or the 55,000 that turned up in London, think what moves we could make.
Absolutely. We might be...
Absolutely fuck all. How come those things happened and the judgment still went the way it did? How come all those protests happened and things are still backsliding? It's because you can't stop culture. You can't... You tried to push it too fast and now it's swinging back. You can't stop that shit, man. The things you've been doing haven't been helping. You want to talk about, oh, we could get the same numbers at these protests last year. Well, those protests clearly weren't very effective because things are continuing the way they are. Anyway.
A very small group, we might only be 1% of the community, but when we stick together, when we have each other's backs, when we get our allies involved too, and when we take to the...
You don't have other trans people's backs. You can't. There's no fucking way that you people can have trans people's backs and advocate for what you're advocating for. Because trans people aren't a monolith. So you're not speaking for trans people. You're speaking for these fucking radical activist type trans people. That's who Pride is actually for. That's who these people are actually advocating for. The rest of us can go fuck ourselves according to these people.
The streets, we are powerful and we will save ourselves from these issues there, but we need to stay together and fight together to be able to do that.
Solidarity, everybody.
Solidarity.
Solidarity, go fuck yourselves. I didn't cue this, we could watch this though. Do you remember Michaela's show? The Supreme Court ruling, let's have a look.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Michaela Copeland here. Today's video is very important. It's about the court case that happened 2 days ago on the 16th of April in the Supreme Court, where 4 women in Scotland, they had a court case about the Equality Act, and the Equality Act unanimously declared that sex in the Equality Act means...
Ooh, 2 chokers today, 3 chokers. Oh, it might be one big one. You've got a black one, then a white one, then a black one. They're all like together. Fair enough.
Biological sex, which there's a grey area because it is towards trans women, yet trans men are not included, which it is a grey area because...
Well, you can surmise. Bearing in mind there's 2 sexes, you can surmise that what goes one way goes the other way.
Any cisgender man could just randomly claim that they are trans men and be allowed into women's toilets and changing rooms and whatever.
Yeah, they can do that anyway. They've always been able to do that.
And it really is screwed, which I made a real effort in my transition. Today is...
Listen, I'm not going to argue with that. It definitely has. Fair enough. Listen, you've even got the lolly poster. You can't get much more effort than that.
It's like waking up in a nightmare that I cannot wake up from.
But your life is no... I'm sorry, man. Your life is no different.
I mean, this is the very reason why we have pride, because it's always trans women that get it, and they clearly forget that trans men exist, and it really is...
Listen, is it expecting too much for me to think that this person should understand, like, the difference between male and female criminality? Maybe it is, you know what I mean? Maybe it is. Is it too much to expect for this person to understand that it's extremely unfeminist to allow males to fill female spots in, like, diversity quotas? Maybe. How is this person being helped by getting boobs? They already had boobs as well. They had them augmented. Beats me.
This is the very reason why pride exists, and it is totally screwed up. I mean, I already don't feel safe now.
I resent how the activism picked up very vulnerable people who have nothing to do with having gender dysphoria. Yeah, I mean, this person might have gender dysphoria. I don't know that. But it is true. I think that the activism groups, I think these kinds of people, they do kind of prey on vulnerable people. You see a lot of these kinds of people who have a lot, there is such thing as gender dysphoria, who have a lot of like pre-existing conditions, but there's no talk about treating any of them first and seeing if that helps. The model is like, well, affirm gender identity, treat as soon as possible. And then half the time it doesn't help. You still have all these problems that you haven't been focusing on because you've been focusing on this instead.
Yesterday, I sent an email through to Rainbow Migration because I literally do not feel safe in the UK, and it's literally a genocide because it's against one particular people. It's literally a genocide.
Literally a genocide, jeez. Please stop making this so hard for me. Please. I'm trying to be nice. Like, this person didn't come to this kind of opinion on their own. Their head has been being filled with shit. They've been listening to people that they shouldn't be listening to. They're being scaremongered too. It's like terrifying. Oh, hi Diesel, I hope you're good. Good to see you.
Because it's against one particular people. It's the same as what Hitler did in the 1940s with Jewish people, and...
Yep, trans people are just like Jewish people in the fucking Holocaust. Jocelyn LGBTQ+. I hate the UK Supreme Court woman ruling. By the way, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you check the links in my description. You can super chat via Streamlabs. You can join my Twitch. I'm monetized from there, but not YouTube. You can join my Patreon for a few dollars a month. Keep the stream running. You can join my Discord. You can check out my music. I make music. You can buy, you can stream.
Hello everyone. My name is Jocelyn and we have a lot to go through today because this is the video about the Supreme Court ruling that states that
Something happened. Jesus Christ.
The definition of
Oh, they really have to like steel themselves to say this. You people are too obsessed with like labels. You really can't handle the fact that you were born in a male body and are therefore a male and a man. I'm sorry, man. This shit is never gonna make you happy.
the definition of a woman is linked to biological sex, and I've got some things to say about that. So apparently, in my country...
Looks like a right hook, Ham. Jesus Christ. I mean, I hope that's not the case. I don't wish harm on anyone.
It's now okay for some old out-of-touch people with silly unearned titles to just start defining words like the...
Mate, people have been redefining the word woman to include people like you. I don't understand. Why is it suddenly bad now someone else that isn't you is doing it?
Not qualified to do. I just love this country. And the fact that this was a unanimous decision as well really is the twist of the knife.
See what I mean? It's just like Latino. It's a knife to the heart. Is it though? Is it? You can't handle the fact that you're born male. I don't know. It kind of sounds like someone needed to fix what was up here and not what was down there, but sure.
Trans women aren't legally women, what the UK Supreme Court ruling means. Oh God.
Cannot cope with the idea that actually what this means is that they're male, that they're a man. Look how triggered this person is. Someone should have been like helping you with this shit, man. This shit clearly is not helping you.
I mean, I know you need a catchy title, but I really dislike the way that this is written whenever the word feminist pops up.
Yeah, you're a man. How are you going to tell other people who are feminists and who aren't?
It should have heavy quotation marks around it, because this is not real feminism. This is not wanting equality.
Hey women, this man is going to tell you what real feminism is. It means occupying your spaces. It means being able to fill diversity quotas aimed at helping you get enough employment. They had it drummed in their head for over a decade and no one can disagree with them. Well, in that case, they're angry at the wrong people. You've been sold a lie.
Wednesday's ruling is expected to have far-reaching consequences for policies on whether and how spaces and services reserved for women should be extended to include trans women. Those born male. Again, language.
Really cannot handle this.
Again, could we not just use the terms assigned male at birth? People who were assigned male at birth.
You weren't assigned. Almost no one was assigned male at birth. Again, it's something like 99.95% of people are observed correctly their sex at birth. You're not assigned anything. Assigned male at birth, assigned female at birth. That refers to intersex. That refers to when doctors perform like certain corrective surgeries based on what they think the sex is meant to be. So you're appropriating like intersex. I mean, it's possible this person is. But the problem is you can't trust any of these people because trans people lie about their sex and they lie about having intersex conditions that they don't have. If they knew that they were intersex, it would be all over the fucking place. Trans woman in the public ladies' loo, literally filming themselves in the women's toilet.
Well, hello there.
Like, this is giving male. Listen, the voice is kind of decent comparatively. But you look male to me. There's a thick neck, there's a big shoulders. Not a derogatory thing. No, of course it's not. You're male, that's just a fact of life. I was born male. I transitioned. I'm not biologically female. I'm not biologically anything.
So, my name is Jocelyn. You may call me Joy. And, I am currently on vacation in an undisclosed private location in a campfield, and I'm having to use public facilities. And I just thought it would be a really interesting opportunity to talk about what happens in ladies-only spaces.
Yeah, you've got males filming themselves. That's what you've got happening in women's spaces.
So,
Sometimes they're doing shit like this. Anyway.
A so-called feminist group, For Women Scotland, challenged the new law and launched a petition against it in 2018. The group argued that the Scottish Parliament had wrongfully defined woman and that the law had failed to use legal definitions as set out in the UK Equality Act of 2010, which isn't even true. This original bill absolutely used the correct legal definition of the word woman.
Are you qualified to say that? Again. Complain about other people not being qualified despite these people being fucking judges. Where's your legal degree, bro? When did you pass the bar?
Let's take a moment to talk about the Equality Act of 2010, because I have actually read it, some time ago, and I went back to it, to the relevant parts. It is full of legal jargon, but essentially it says that person A...
Yeah, so this person doesn't understand the legal jargon. And then we'll say that other people are unqualified to define in law what a woman is. But yet they have no qualifications in law whatsoever. If you had any qualifications in law whatsoever, you wouldn't be talking about legal jargon, you'd just be explaining it. So, like, you're a hypocrite. But yeah, we got on the Supreme Court ruling, we've got matriarchy type.
The UK Supreme Court has just announced its decision on the definition of female, or woman.
Again, voice sounds okay.
In doing so, it has officially classified that trans women are not classed as women, only biologically born women are. They haven't defined...
Yeah, the clue's in the name. Biological woman. You know what biological woman? Do you know what a synonym for biological woman is? Woman.
Find what biological woman means, but I'm sure they're going to fill that in. What does this mean?
Mate, it means that you're female. It means that when you were born, they saw a vagina between your legs. And as I've looked up before, the overwhelming vast majority of people are correctly assigned or observed, should I say, sex at birth.
For trans women in general, trans people in general, intersex people, the wider LGBTQIA plus community, or pretty much anyone that doesn't fit the gender norms of Western society.
Western society. Oh, this is going to be painful. This is going to be absolutely painful. What do they think other societies are like that aren't Western when it comes to gender shit?
Some people seem to be really happy about this decision. Oh, JK.
Yeah, women are happy about this decision because they have a word that defines them again.
J.K. Rowling and her TERF army of...
Yeah, do you know why J.K. Rowling has been celebrating this? Because she was saying sex is real, like 5 years ago, and was getting called bigoted for it, was getting pilloried over and over for it, has been harassed for like 5 years straight over it. Yeah, I think it's probably acceptable. I think it's probably understandable that this person is celebrating right now.
Sad, lonely women that wish they knew how to do makeup as good as we did. But many of you will be asking...
Mate, you're not good looking enough to pull that kind of hubris off. You're not good looking enough. You don't look happy enough. Your house is way too messy. You're too surrounded by plushies and other kid shit to convincingly pull off commenting on whether you think other people are happy or not.
And sure, we're still protected under discrimination, but like, surely so is everyone? I'd like to think.
Yes, so you all have fucking rights anyway. So what's the problem? Your delusion isn't being catered to anymore, I'm sorry.
This is a huge win for biological women. It means that they're safe in single-sex spaces. Up until now, beasts like me would be recklessly using the female toilets to urinate. I mean, that just can't happen in civilized society. Instead, we want trans men in there. That'll make all of these women feel safe.
Trans men are going to be fine using the men's because the men don't care. Trans men also tend to pass more often than trans women. So the men aren't potentially even going to notice. And by the way, the culture in the men's room, you don't look at anyone, you go in the fucking toilet, you wash your hands, you get the fuck out. You don't look at anyone else. You keep as much different distance as you possibly can from other people. You use the stall. If there's 5 urinals, one uses the far left, the next uses the far right, the next uses the middle, and these two are never fucking used. Because you don't pee next to another man. That's how little men want to do with each other in the fucking toilet. Do you really think trans men are going to have a problem?
Western culture has decided there are only two genders, even though biology...
Western culture is decided... Where does this person live? Like, have they ever lived in, like, the Middle East or in Africa or something? How many genders are there in any of those places? Fuck. Like, this is all, like, performative, like, ContraPoint shit. They're probably not moving anywhere. Instead, go back to the UK. Maybe they already live somewhere else. Alright, we'll do one more. I can't watch any more of that shit. I'm not doing it. I ain't fucking doing it. Dr. Disco. The UK Supreme Court just abandoned trans women. Someone put this in my Discord, so let's see, I guess.
Remember how in my last video, which you should go watch, I made the joke that maybe the reason everyone in the UK is so transphobic nowadays is because of the pollution rising up from the ocean? I was joking, but at this point, it makes the most sense out of anything. The Supreme Court ruled this week that legally...
Yeah, it's probably one of the less shit arguments that TRAs have made about that, I agree.
The term woman is based on biological sex. For women, they wanted to help women and make some social legal changes that will do that. And let me tell you, the things they do to help women are almost endless. I mean, the list goes on. So look, they exclude trans women.
Yeah, trans women aren't women though, so...
That's it. This bit is over. What the For Women Scotland group?
Listen, we need men to tell us how bad women's groups are. We need men to tell us how to run women's groups, for sure. You silly women, you don't know anything. You need to listen to us men on how your women's advocacy group should run. Absolutely.
Do at the end of the day is kind of irrelevant. They don't want to help women, they want to exclude trans women. But what I really want to talk about in this video is the ruling. I want to talk about how silly it is, how it's probably kind of illegal.
Yes, it's very silly to allow women to have their own spaces away from men when males victimize females, typically, when it comes to things like sexual assault, things like that. Very silly that women should want their own spaces. Remember Leadhead? Does anyone remember Leadhead? They were a gaming channel for years. And then like hard changed into like trans content. And like, I'm pretty sure they lost shit tons of viewers over it, because why wouldn't you? Like people who watch gaming content don't generally want to watch the cast review a measured response.
They don't just stop trans women from identifying as women. There's a whole other group.
Well, no one can stop anyone identifying as women. It just doesn't make you one. I mean, stop people identifying as... What you identify doesn't mean shit anyway. Your identity begins and ends in your head.
I want to talk about the rule of fairness within law. Law cares a lot about fairness. It's arguably the biggest foundation of the rule of law itself. Maybe only put aside by, like, justice. There's a tag in Latin that lawyers learn, which I'm going to have to read off my screen because I couldn't remember it. Audi alteram partem, which means that you shouldn't hear from just one side, essentially. Thank you to the Good Law Project for providing that information.
That I've been crying for days, blush. Look, Jesus.
Whilst I doom scrolled through tears on TikTok last night, it was,
Jesus Christ, y'all are crazy over this stuff. You need to calm down. Your life probably isn't even going to change very much. If you make the effort, you probably won't be noticed in any of the spaces you already use. No, this is Finster on Temu. If you read the recommendations of the cast review to these people, I doubt they'd even have a problem with most of them. That's the worst thing.
It was a nice little bit to come across, like a nice little, oh, that's nice.
God, it's 4 minutes in, we've said almost nothing. How long does it take you to get to a point exactly?
We're not being treated fairly. Yay! The reason why we're not being treated fairly is because the Supreme Court went directly against this idea of fairness. They listened very intently to a large amount of transphobic groups and organisations, but not trans people.
Well, it's about women. It's about the definition of women, and you're not women.
They broke one of the fundamental foundations of law. Fairness. You can't do that. The law is...
They haven't described this at all. It's like they're taking it completely literally. Like, what are you talking about?
Besides, notice this pattern where cis people are excluding us from any legal decisions that have anything to do with our own lives and our own autonomy. Someone should make a video about...
Yeah, This person has not fucking read the fucking thing. They haven't watched the verdict. They haven't read the decision. They don't know anything about anything. This isn't a decision about making trans lives harder. This is a decision about what a woman means. Because there were ambiguities in the fucking Equality Act. How much do you need to stretch this shit? It's so insane. You want to talk about fairness? Why don't we talk about honesty for a minute? I don't think you have any.
Other instances of this happening. I'm sure that'd be a really, really good video. Now, additionally, beyond
Yeah, it looks like it sucks, bro. No offense. Based on that we're 5 minutes in, I've said nothing of value.
breaking the very fabric of law itself, one thing that this also does
Like, you've not established that whatsoever.
is potentially violate some ECHR or European Convention of Human Rights. Arguments could be made that this ruling violates Article 8, right to private and family life, Article 14.
They're not saying how any of this is the case. Again, someone else we watched talks about are people like qualified to do this. These people talk about law. It's very clear. I'm not saying I know anything particularly. Very clear they don't know anything because they're just listing things off. Idiots in your Discord probably told you all this. And how do they know? Who fucking knows?
Protection from inhumane or degrading treatment. What I'm saying is there are certainly legal avenues in which we can tackle this problem. But if you're like me, you've probably given up on that kind of thing. I'm very, very happy that great people like the Good Law Project are doing it, and we should continue to do it. It's just very difficult to feel
Yeah, they're great people because they agree with you. That's all there is to it.
like it's going to achieve anything. We keep doing it, for sure. So now that we've talked about the rule of law, let's go back specifically to the ruling.
The rule of law.
Not having individuals who are specifically indicated on the subject at hand whilst making decisions and
Educate? You didn't show any of what you just said. And now you want to complain about other people's education? This is like nuts. You show no understanding. List off a bunch of things. And now you want to talk about other people's education? This is just as dumb as the other video we watched. Saying the same thing. All those people aren't educated enough to define what a woman is. Now I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of law stuff that I have no qualifications in. Wow.
to the ruling. Not having individuals who are specifically indicated on the subject at hand whilst making decisions and guidelines or whatever on
Yeah, educated on trans people. Well, the problem is, it's like poorly understood and very poorly defined because it's just identifying as something else as what you are. That doesn't mean anything. Like, a person could identify a certain way because they're delusional. They could be mistaken and they might actually detransition one day. I don't know, man.
that subject is very bad.
Yeah, women's groups aren't educated on what being a woman is, I guess. And we're framing it around trans people because we're all narcissists, I guess. Not all of us. Plenty of us aren't. But whenever you hear someone framing women's issues around trans people, bearing in mind the whole thing was about women's equality, it's very telling, you know what I mean?
Hillary. This led to the Supreme Court making some very silly and anti-science assumptions. It specifically excludes trans women from the definition of women, but it goes a step further than that. It makes the
How is that anti-science? Oh wait, we're not going to explain, we're going to do a new sentence. This person doesn't know anything about anything. How are you going to bring up like the education of other people?
very funny assumption and decision that sex is binary. Not only is this
Yes, it is. It is binary. Where's your education on biology?
wrong, it's embarrassingly wrong. Sex isn't binary. Maybe if you take a year 4 biology class, for Americans that means 3rd grade, sure, you'll be told this.
Okay, so if sex isn't binary, how do babies get made? Why do we define sex? What's it based on? It's based on humans' ability to reproduce. And how humans reproduce is there's a male and a female. There might be other things, but there's no third gamete. There are people that have features of both because something went very fucking wrong. Most of the time, those people cannot reproduce. You could say that there's like a null category for people that have no sexual function. And for those people, it doesn't really fucking matter which sex you put them under. Maybe they can choose for themselves, who fucking knows, because it doesn't matter. But there's still 2 sexes. It's always 2 gametes that come together. There aren't more than 2. It has to be the same 2. 2 is another way of saying binary. And like, flipping a coin, heads or tails, is a binary choice. That doesn't mean that a coin doesn't occasionally land on its side. It doesn't disprove the binary.
Sex is binary, but that's because the way we measure sex is quite complex and the nuances surrounding it is probably too much.
It's really not. They look what's between your legs at birth. In 0.05% of cases, they might be wrong. Like, you have to prove that there's a third sex.
for 8-year-olds to handle. And apparently it's also too hard to handle
I like how condescending you're being.
for the highest fucking court in the entirety of the United Kingdom. Sex is bimodal, in that yes, there is 2 peaks of sexual distribution, male and
This doesn't make any sense. What's over here? What's over here? This makes no sense. Like frequency 3, what is this frequency? So, pure males, there's like 3 frequency. And then like mostly male but slightly nothing is like 2. And then 1. This is PragerU shit. What the fuck is this? Like, what are these 2 parts here? Who is described by each of those, bearing in mind we have an understanding of like different DSDs and stuff like that. This chart is bullshit. I'm sorry. Doesn't make any sense. Like, who's A, who's B, who's C, and who's D? Who are we referring to here?
female. But there are many people who fall between that or outside of it, and you can change.
And the other thing is, DSDs are like, mostly you can put them into male or female. When we're talking about people with mixed traits, that is a tiny amount of people. Bearing in mind most, like, especially secondary sex traits, which these people love to put on the same level as like penis and fucking genitalia, gonads, whatever shit. The vast majority of intersex people are still male or female. If they have any reproductive function, then you already know, because they make one or the other. Nobody makes both. What source? This guy's ass. Yeah, XXY Klinefelter is only found in men. These people consider PCOS to be a intersex trait. Those people are not here or here. If you have PCOS, you are here. If you have Klinefelters, you're here. I'm watching Monty, probably. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the blush is hideous. She looks hungover.
But there are many people who fall between that or outside of it, and you can change aspects of it from one
Like, what are some examples? Who falls outside of it?
way to the other. Many people who fall between that or outside of it, and you can change aspects of it from one way to the other.
Aspects of it. Mate, you can take on, as a male, you can take on a female secondary sex characteristic by putting on enough weight. If you're fat enough as a male, you grow breasts. Like, this makes no sense.
My point is whilst yes, XX and XY are the two main distributions, there are many, many people who fall between those and other sex characteristics that aren't as concrete as that. There
Such as?
are people who can be born female with all the given things that entails, live life as a female, they can grow up and never even really realise they're intersex, or they might realise it at a point very late in their life, just because their chromosomes are.
Well, if they're born female, they're female. It's at the point where I don't even know what this person means or thinks they mean when they say born female. We're at that point.
Aren't XX somehow.
Yeah, you can get different chromosome variations. Oh, do you not remember the graphs on PragerU? They used to have all these bizarre, like, graphs. Hang on. Like this kind of thing. I don't know how real any of these are. Like, standards, year, the decline of artistic standards. Injustice and suffering, life, this kind of thing. This is what I'm talking about. That's what level this is on. It's just nonsense. Like, if your chromosomes aren't typical, you still have genitalia. You still have the possibility that you produce gametes, or you have a genitalia that should be producing some gametes, but aren't for some reason. Those things still mean that you're one sex or the other. Like, this bimodal thing is just a different way of looking at it, but there's no actual scientific basis of it. I don't think they're meant to be real. It's just a visual representation to make them look better. So realistically, PragerU is better. Hey, maybe, listen, I haven't watched PragerU in a really long time, so I'll, it just reminds me of it, is more what I'm saying. Do they consider PCOS an intersex condition? I don't know if this person does, but people do. Like, we've watched videos today where they've mentioned PCOS. If you have PCOS, you're still female. And like, these people want to lecture other people on biology. This person has shown no understanding. They haven't listed one actual DSD condition. They seem to think it's like some kind of create your own fucking pizza or something. Oh, well, I want the XXY topping with the ovaries and the this, that, or the other. No, you have to look at the actual conditions. You look at the actual conditions. You can, in fact, fit almost everyone into one or the other. By the time you can't, there's like, it's not very many people. They have absolutely no sexual function. Otherwise, they would fit into male or female. And you don't define like biological sex based on the outliers.
Now they're not a woman. These aren't small amounts of people either. Over 1 million people in the UK are intersex, and those are only the ones we know about. Like I said, some of these different...
How many people are in the UK? And also, what do you mean by intersex? Really, intersex should just mean you have like parts of both genitalia. But these people think it means any kind of DSD. They think that something like PCOS or Klinefelters are intersex when they're not. You're male or female.
Differences can be so small that people live their entire life.
PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. They have cysts on their ovaries. I think they tend to produce more testosterone than average. You get effects like, I think it's easier to put on weight. You tend to be larger. Not always, but you can be. You tend to get like bits of facial hair, stuff like that. But it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. Ovaries, you know what I mean? That's a female gonad, not a male one. I think he's mixing intersex with confused. I think he is confused. Look how many sources there are. Can you see the sources? Let's see all the sources for this person's scientific beliefs.
Without even knowing. Additionally, like
I know many women with PCOS who would not like being called intersex. Yeah.
hinted at before, we don't just measure sex with chromosomes. There's more characteristics we take.
Chromosomes, gonads, and gametes, you can file basically everyone, bar a small number, into one or the other.
Into account, some of these characteristics can be changed. Muscle mass, the dominant sex hormone.
Yeah. That's why we have primary sex characteristics. I don't think muscle mass is even a sex characteristic, really. It's something that varies between the two sexes. But again, a woman can have much more of a male-ranged fucking muscle mass by working out a lot. A man can grow breasts by getting fat. So these aren't very good yardsticks for what makes your sex. Especially when sex is about your reproductive function.
In your body, secondary sex characteristics, many biological aspects.
Okay, so all the ones that don't actually define your reproductive function, basically. So you ignore all of those because you can generally defer to the primary ones.
Can change with hormone replacement therapy. I don't want to approach someone's validity from a transmed point of view, but it is true. I've taken blood tests and I know the dominant sex hormone.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, let's say you have a man, and because he's got some kind of condition or other, this is completely made up, don't worry about it, hypothetical. You take a man, as part of a treatment for a condition he has to take estrogen. Has he now started to become a woman? Or is he a man who has high estrogen? I don't understand, man. Doesn't make sense. You can't base it off this kind of thing.
Hormone in my body is now estrogen. That's a aspect of my biological sex that has been changed.
No, it's not.
Sex is bimodal, and you can change aspects of it.
You haven't shown that whatsoever. And you can't change your primary characteristics.
The Supreme Court is wrong. It is not binary.
He hasn't shown this. And he's got no sources. And like, look, you know that they fucked this right up when the top comment is them fucking mouthing. For those commenting trans women and men, or they just went with reality, congratulations for proving you didn't watch the video, proving my exact point that phobes and TERFs cannot construct or respond to actual nuanced arguments. It's all feelings from you guys. What nuanced arguments have been made here? This person is actually batshit. And the problem is, all of these fucking retards are encouraging this fucking person. This person with a trans flag. I'm a woman, I'm a lesbian. Facts don't care about their feelings. Yes, but your identities are based on your feelings. Another of us. You're a cult. Oh, I think I've seen this person before.
Yeah, you put the grey skies out of my way. You make the sunshine brighter than Doris Day. Turns a bright spark into a flame. And my beats per minute never been.
I think we have the same microphone. They need to chill on the reverb though. The sign of an insecure singer. Now you're just torturing. Listen, I don't have much else queued and Charlie's working till like fucking 8 o'clock, so. Help support my local Greens. Okay, yeah. Leaflet for the Green Party. That's going to do anything whatsoever. You're not a woman, I'm sorry. Attended the London protest today. You and Sarah Jane Baker, how nice. Do you mind linking your sources? Which one specifically? 2 days ago. Which one specifically? Any? Any at all? What the fuck is wrong with you? Look at this. At the protest right now, so reply when I get home. 2 days ago. Ain't no fucking sources. They don't know anything about any of this. They're making people more dumb by making videos like this. I'm a libertarian, believe in liberty. If you want to say you are what you are, go ahead. But the law should focus on facts, not fiction. That's fair enough. He wasn't rude at all. Or she, I don't know. I originally subbed for VR and gaming stuff. What the fuck happened? She just spent 20 minutes telling you what happened. A fascist attack on her community. Yeah, making an amendment so that woman means female is a fascist attack on trans people. Absolutely nuts. These people are lost. You're all lost. You're all nuts. What's happened to these people? This is one of the things that fucking peaked me the fuck out, is how many of these trans people are actually like zombies. They're nuts. There is no justification for the shit that they say they believe. They don't link sources. You really think they look like a man? Yeah, they do a little bit. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being a man. There's nothing wrong with being male. Just came back from a protest fighting for trans rights via healthcare. No matter what, I'll fight for my trans brothers and sisters, even if I'm not trans myself. Okay, so you've got no sin in the game. I side with the science, and the science says trans people are valid, does it? What science says trans people are valid? What science says anything is valid? What does valid mean in a scientific context? Anyone who says otherwise get all their information from either Fox or online bigoted content creators, not actual scientific article. Oh my god, average trans pride flag. Whatever. Do I want people to refer to me like a man? People can refer to me however they want. I don't tell people how to refer to me. Most people don't tell each other how to refer to them. It just happens naturally. You want to call me a she or a he or a they or an it or anything, then go ahead. I hate how many friends I've lost because of the biological lies trans ideology. Yeah, it's annoying. I mean, I don't hate that I've lost friends over this, because like most of the people I fell out with weren't really friends of mine anyway. I kind of regret how much time I wasted around the wrong kinds of people. Science says they are valid. What does that even mean? Would you call the American Psychological Association? Oh, okay, listen. The NHS. I don't know if you want to be using the NHS. The UK is turning around on this stuff. They like invoking all the different associations. First of all, almost all of these are American, which is called culture bias. Second of all, well, Human Rights Campaign, they're not a fucking scientific group. But like these, they always say, all these major medical organizations support trans healthcare. But here's the thing. Do you know why a lot of these people state that they support trans healthcare? Do you know what they say? Well, lots of other major medical organizations support trans healthcare. So it's just fucking Spider-Man all pointing at each other like in the fucking meme. Like, this is called appeal to authority. Linked to some scientific studies. It doesn't matter how many studies these people read, because the confirmation bias is overwhelming. You're going to look at them, make way too crazy conclusions out of them. It's like all these people that push the fucking trans brains shit, which is so convincing that fucking WPATH doesn't tell anyone to get their fucking brains done, scanned, whatever. They read these studies and come to insane conclusions off of them, when these studies are often quite non-committal and often say, well, more research is needed. Well, we only studied about 40 people. This video sucks. This is actually cooked. This person is full of shit. How can you have a female brain and a male body and vice versa? You can't. And like the kind of trans brain stuff, they just point to certain potential differences between people who identify one way or the other. But it's very inconclusive. It's completely nuts. Like this person is insane. This is a terrible video. They don't have no clue They have no clue whatsoever what they're talking about. And they'll shit on other people about like not having the right kind of education. What education does this person have? They didn't state any education. You'd think they'd be harping on all about it, you know what I mean? Like nuts. I can't be arsed watching this anymore.